Hello peeps, welcome to another edition of Politics is Life. My name is Yetunde Makide. Today on the program, I'll be discussing a social menace. It's a social menace because it has caused and led to the death of people. It's caused for people to be lynched, for people to be set ablaze, and essentially have all manner of barbaric things done to them. So it's a societal ill. It needs to be addressed. So what am I talking about? It's about this phenomenon where A is accusing B of having snatched his penis. So we're talking about the phenomenon of stealing or snatching penises. That's the masculine genitalia. About 3 weeks ago was the first time I saw a video that went viral on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter. So far there's been 3. The first one, I believe, from what I gathered on the timeline, happened in Algae. The second one, where I don't know where that happened, but there were 2 frames. The first frame had this individual crouched in a corner. He had clearly been beaten, and he had blood all over his face. And then the second frame showed a person had been set ablaze. I have no way of verifying if the person in frame A was the same person that was set ablaze in frame 2, but the fact is the person that was set ablaze had been accused of stealing a penis. The third incident, the third scenario, or the third content that I saw on Twitter was of a woman that was screaming into the camera like a banshee that the latest thing that they do in Abuja now is to snatch penises. And she was recording this group of individuals. I mean, she showed nothing to prove what she was saying, but she had that urge to broadcast something that she hasn't verified for herself. So those are the 3 contents that I've seen in the last 3 weeks, and I just thought, right from the moment that I saw the first video, which had happened from what I gathered, like I said, in Auchi, where this middle-aged man had been accused of stealing someone's penis. Right from the moment that I saw that content, I knew that I was going to do this I was going to discuss it, and I was going to do this video, because I think it's about time we start to address this recurring phenomenon of missing or snatching penises. And there were 2 things essentially from that first scenario, like I said, that just made me think, okay, you know what, you got to discuss this. Because essentially on this channel, what I do is discuss politics and social issues. So the first content, like I said, had a middle-aged man accused by this young man who was dressed in a kaftan. And the middle-aged man is seated on the ground. He had clearly been beaten. He had blood on his face as well. And he was explaining, because clearly some people had intervened, had rescued the man, and people had intervened and were interrogating the 2 of them. And in the conversation that ensued, the middle-aged man was explaining that the young man's penis would be restored or returned by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. That to me sounded like the statement of a desperate individual. When you're in a desperate situation, you'll see just about anything to get out of it. That for me was exactly what that middle-aged man was doing. But the intriguing thing, in the conversation that ensued, like I said, the young man said something that was, for me, was intriguing, and it was profound. When he started to narrate his own side of the story, he said, as soon as he shook hands with the middle-aged man, he felt shock. He felt shock. And in my mind, instantaneously, I thought, wait a minute, that sounds like something objective, something that can be tested, something that can be measured, as opposed to believing that it's something ritualistic that has transpired between these 2. Because a shock in the body, to me, sounds like someone who is experiencing a jolt of electricity goes through his body. That's what that is, from his own mouth. from his own account. That's what he said, more or less. If that's the case, then it's about time, because the strange thing is, this thing reoccurs constantly. It happens. It's almost like seasonal. It's almost like it's cyclical. It happens. Everybody talks about it, and then it fizzles out until it's reoccurring again after some few years. So we have people accusing other people of taking the genitalia. It shouldn't just end there. The only reason why it ends there is because as a people, we've become very superstitious. We seem to suspend our critical thinking faculty, for superstitious belief. And the thing is, we were never superstitious people. I know some of you may find that hard to believe, but that's the truth. We were never superstitious, but that's not what I want to discuss today. To eradicate this menace in our society where people get killed for allegations that were never verified needs to stop. It needs to be addressed. I remember on the timeline when I was having an interaction with someone over that first content, because for many people when they hear these things, they laugh about it. I can understand why people would laugh, not laughing at the victims, but laughing at the notion that somebody can say their penis is vanished, which I think I also need to say something about here. When people say that, like I wrote on Twitter as well, I don't believe, when people say that penises are vanished or somebody stole their penis, let's put it that way, that A has stolen or B has stolen my penis, they do not mean that the penis has vanished, that the penis is an appendage, right? They don't mean that it's been yanked off and gone. I think what it means is that it loses its functionality. That's what I believe they mean. Because if it's a matter of your penis vanishing, people can easily take a peek into the alleged, the supposed victim's trousers to see whether his penis is there or not. So it's not the disappearance of the penis. It's more that they lose functionality in that region. That's what I believe they're saying. So superstition, is the reason why people would even believe at all that it's possible for somebody's penis to be stolen. Because I couldn't imagine that if B starts to shout in the middle of a city like London or Bogota in Colombia, or say in Beijing in China, that B has stolen my penis. I don't think anyone would. I think people are likely to think that individual who is claiming that his penis has been stolen is probably having a schizophrenia episode. They may think the person is hysterical, is probably exhibiting signs of psychosis. So the reason why it thrives in this part of the world is because we believe it's a possibility, which is superstitious for me. So now, I've laid down the scenarios. What I want to do with this content is for us all to look at this phenomenon through the lens of science. Because the reason why people become superstitious is because they suspend their critical thinking faculty, like I said. If we learn to look at things objectively with an open mind, we're able to advance, we're able to progress. As a matter of fact, part of the reason why the African continent has stagnated, is lagging behind and has become majorly impoverished is as a result of many things, but one of them is being superstitious. Having this desire to not, killing your curiosity, not having this desire to want to get to the bottom of anything. When something occurs, you should sit down, pause, and think about it. What's the cause of this? What could possibly be causing it? Why is it happening? Research, make inquiry. But we all are comfortable, thanks to Nollywood, who perpetuate superstitious belief in all the stories they ever tell us. You know, if Nollywood would begin to, showcase things that edify, that opens up the mind, things that actually do educate, not things that entrench superstitions, maybe we would have a better society. Let me go back to the phenomenon and what I think may be going on. So the minute that young man said that he felt a jolt of electricity course through his body, I thought to myself, wait a minute, this young man is onto something. What he's saying is actually objective, because you can measure electricity, right? We can measure electricity, we can test it, electricity. And as we know, well, as some of you may know, the human being, a human being is an electromagnetic entity. So having electricity course through your body is not a big deal. All right? Maybe if we know that we're just a bundle of electromagnetic fields, then it won't be strange if A should be and one of them suddenly feels a jolt of electricity course through his body. That the human being is an electromagnetic entity is a scientific fact. Incidentally, this is something that has always been known to mystics throughout the ages. For example, in Yoruba spirituality, the Oshas that we venerate, there's nothing to worship in Ishashe. We venerate, we honor, and pay obeisance to Osha. These Oshas are energetic beings. They're energetic waves, energetic forces of nature. They are spirit beings in the sense that they're invisible. They're not visible to the naked eyes. That's the sense in which I use the word spirit. So these entities are energetic forces, like I said. This is an aside, but I felt the need to say it because the way it is in the modern world, that African spirituality, the Africans themselves have come to dissociate themselves from African spirituality because they've been conditioned. Thanks to centuries of conditioning, they've come to associate African spirituality and everything indigenous to the devil, and as a result, demonic. Because if you probe these people further, Africans who are religious, if you probe them further as to how they came by this conclusion or came by this thing they hold on to, that African spirituality is of the devil and demonic, you find them back their claim with the religions that were foisted on us by the invading armies. But like I said, that's an aside. So in other words, without electrical impulses, electrically charged particles, we couldn't move, we couldn't speak, we couldn't think or do any of the other things that makes us human. Our tissues, our cells, our nerves are all powered by electrical impulses. And this is why robust education is important. Critical thinking is invaluable to succeed in life, to advance, to grow, to progress. Education plays a vital role. Robust education. Now, there's something known as solar flares. It's a cosmic occurrence that astronomers and physicists are all familiar with. Because the minute that I heard, like I said, what the young man in Kaftan said, that was what crossed my mind. I started to think that could it be that solar flares have anything to do with what this person experienced? Now, if you don't know what solar flares are, I'll tell you. Solar flares are eruption of intense energies, electromagnetic energies, ultraviolet rays from our sun. The sun in our solar system emits these intense energies. These flares, when they erupt, cause what is known as magnetic storms, which then enters into Earth's atmosphere, and are powerful and intense enough sometimes to disrupt, damage, and interfere with the frequencies of electrical and mechanical devices. But of course, the men of science tell us that it's not harmful to the human body. But I'm thinking, a big but, that is there a chance, a possibility that there could be those, people whose individual auric field, because everybody, every living thing has a personal force field. Everybody has a force field. So could it be that this personal force field, this auric field of people, could it be that it intensified as a result of magnetic storms? A situation where the auric field of a person become intensely supercharged to the point a sensitive, an overtly sensitive person, or someone with fragile sensibilities, or shall I say, fragile psychology, I don't know, can pick it up, pick it up in the sense that they can feel this force field stronger than they should. And then they feel it as an electrical jolt or an electrical flow, which is what it is. Feel it as an impulse. Because after all, the magnetic storms is able to stay in the atmosphere from a few hours to up to 4 days. Now, this solar event, this solar flares, has an 11-year cycle. This wild claim of missing genitalia can also be said to be kind of seasonal, because we hear the stories, it goes around, it then fizzles out, only for it to reoccur again. Personally, I haven't even heard of missing genitalia for a very long time. I haven't heard in many, many, many years. Maybe because I haven't been using social media. But is there a chance that this phenomenon coincides with solar flares, the occurrence of solar flares? We won't know unless the research is carried out. Now, all of these are just conjectures, and that's how science, that's how scientific research work. You make these conjectures, you research it, you test your theories, you test your guesses. So this is just me trying to understand what could be happening. Understand what could be happening when A shakes B and some sort of electromagnetic reaction occurs between the two. Something suddenly is going on, and interestingly, some people seem to arrogate what is going on, what could be going on with these people, to insanity. Some people, like on my timeline, there are people who think that the people who make the claim that the genitalia has been snatched must be suffering from some sort of insanity, which is, it's plausible, but I don't wholly buy it, and I don't wholly buy it, because random people just can't be having this episode all the time, all over the country. I, however, will concede that those who believe, there are those who are making the allegation, and then there are those who, as a result of a superstitious mindset, believe it. These people, I will concede that these people are insane. I mean, such credulity from supposedly educated people. No, I can't let that slide. I can't let that slide. For those who participate in the mob action that leads to the death of innocent people, for those people, I can let it pass, because if you participate in mob action that leads to murder, certainly you're unlettered, and you're showing that you're not a human being, that you're an animal who basically has a human covering. So I can let that slide, because you're certainly an animal. But what kind of a person would believe an unverifiable claim? What kind of a person who claims to be educated believes in an unverifiable claim, an allegation that has not been proven? I mean, that's just downright shitty. But then, being literate and being educated are two different things. There's a difference between a person who is literate and a person who is educated. That a person is literate doesn't mean they are educated. A lot of Nigerians are actually literate but not educated. To be literate simply means to be able to read, write, and do numeracy. That's what it means. That's what literacy means. So that you're literate doesn't mean you're educated, because people who are educated do not believe anything. Do not believe claims on face. Do not take claims on face value. You need to be able to process it, process it. When I say process it, you try to see whether what you've been told makes sense or not. And then if you have a way to verify it, you should do that. That's what education allows you to do. Education allows you exert your critical thinking faculty. A lot of us do not know how to do that. And that fault is owed largely to the quality of education that we've all received, and religion. I know you're religious, but that's the reality. Religion conditions people. Religion tells people to not. Religion does not allow you flex your brain, and your brain is there for you to process information. But let me just go on quickly so that I can bring this to, I can close this up. Now, is there a possibility where the conditions exacerbate this phenomenon, thereby increasing the number of occurrence of this incident? It's been raining. We're in the rainy season, and it's been raining in many of these places where these claims were made. And with rain, humidity level rise. And we all know that electricity tends to conduct quicker in wet surroundings, which is the reason why I'm associating this phenomenon with solar flares. Now, even just now as I'm talking, something else just struck my mind, which may not be so plausible, but I'll share it nonetheless, which is that could this phenomenon of missing genitalia in any way also be associated with static energy? These are just wild guesses. That sensation you get when you rub your hand on synthetic objects like plastics, certain kinds of plastics, or certain kinds of fabrics like silk, rayon, polyester, and it then discharges charged particles, electrically charged particles. For all we know, it may well be the body of the accuser, the person who is making this accusation. It may well be that his own body is rubbing against his clothing. Maybe he's putting on rayon, a shirt made out of rayon, which then emits charged particles, shocking him, and then he stupidly arrogates that shock to a random stranger around him and claiming that his penis is going. So the long and short of this content is to say that this phenomenon needs to be researched. I mean, we have a Ministry of Science and Technology, right? Wouldn't it be nice if the scientists, that's if the place is staffed with scientists, wouldn't it be nice if they get on this phenomenon, get on it, do the research, and then publish their findings in journals, and then finally the Ministry of Information can help us sensitize the Nigerian populace by various mediums, social media, TV and radios, through drama sketches, as well as jingles. It would be nice for the Ministry of Science and Technology to be able to engage in productive activities that impact our society in meaningful ways. Because superstitions emanate from ignorance. So there is a need to rid our society of superstitious nonsense. So I've been talking for about 20 minutes now. I'll wrap this up, and then in the next clip, what I'll do essentially is summarize what I believe the Ministry of Information, in conjunction with other ministries, departments, and agencies, should do or could do to help us rid our society of this menace, this superstitious culture, this superstitious mindset of believing in nonsense, of believing in things that have no place in objective reality. So I'll see you in the next clip. To the point, a person who is overtly sensitive, or some with fragile sensibilities or fragile psychology, if we know that we are just a bundle of organic so perhaps magnetic electromagnetism, if we understand that we're just a bundle of organic, so your body is not a big deal. All right, maybe if we know that we are just a bundle of organic electromagnetism, if we understand that we're just a bundle of organic for ourselves. So those are the strange superstitions. Maybe we would have a better society. Perhaps if people understand that the human being is an electromagnetic entity, it won't be strange if it won't be maybe if we know that we are just a bundle of organic electromagnetic. Let me just laugh. So I've made that clear. So causing the auric field to become intensely supercharged. So this is just, like I said, this is just me trying to